Hello, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, I title this message, A Worldwide Exodus. A Worldwide Exodus. There are so many situations that have the Exodus story straight out of the Bible unfolding right before us. For years, God has been doing a number of things right under our noses. And those who are in the know, they are the ones who see God moving. These are the people who fight up against God as well. These are also the ones who they have their little catchphrases, signs, symbols, colors, you name it, to communicate among those who they feel should do certain things, whatever those certain things are, to prevent the Exodus. You see, as long as the enemy is able to get what he or she wants, everything is good, everything is great. But when what he or she wants is not so great, so important anymore, because the people who they are using and abusing are getting the upper hand somehow, some way. Now it's time to orchestrate a plan to slow the Exodus. Now it's time to call things illegal. Yes, I'm going there. Because you see, when I had received the word about narcissism, and when God has spoke to me about narcissists, there were individuals who come through, and even to this day, they still come through trying to school me, if you will, on what is legal and what is illegal. Come on. Our people, our history, more specifically, African Americans, we know something about an Exodus. We know something about legal and illegal. And we know that as long as somebody's getting some kind of benefit, it's not illegal. But as soon as they don't see the benefit anymore, they're just like the narcissists. They use and discard. They start calling things illegal. And then they start wanting to school people on what's legal, what's illegal, what's right, what's not right. Got churches even trying to spew certain propaganda that sure sounds racist, sure sounds biased, sure has some underlying shady behavior meanings. Oh, yeah, we've got some individuals who this is what they do time and time again. And those who don't want to see that deeply, those who only want to see somebody's breaking the law, that's it, somebody done got killed behind somebody who's illegal, somebody wasn't supposed to be over here. If you just stay right in that space, you're going to miss your Exodus. Yeah, I'm coming where some of you all are. Because you see, you go to the Lord and you ask the Lord about your personal issues, and you want somebody to be able to free you up out of whatever you're going through. You want the professional. You want somebody who has a degree. You want somebody who has a favor. You want some extra credit on a on something, whether it's something financial or whether it's something dealing with your schooling. You want something from somebody. And so as long as you're getting it illegally, then it's okay and all right. But when your needs, the things that you want, are impacted in such a way that you are like, wait a minute, those people are getting the upper hand, I think we need to come up with some rules. I think we need to come up with some ways to slow those other people down. Because, see, this was supposed to be my favor over here. This was supposed to be my opportunity over here. Yeah, I know it's not righteous. I know it's not legal. But, you see, the very ones that was benefiting all those years started paying attention to population growth. Just as they did with the African American who was once considered black, Negro, what have you, was watching population growth many, many decades ago. We got to come up with a way to slow all these births down. We got to come up with a way to, keep some money in our pockets, some jobs where we are. We got to do something because they can't be the majority. Oh, no. We saw it back then with our people, but do certain folks who's brown see it with their people? You see. Leaders, more specifically, people in the church, people who are entertainers. Do you see where you're being used? Do you see where Pharaoh is working you extra hard, doing some illegal things to serve his purpose, to serve his agenda? Ooh, yeah, we're going to go deep today. Worldwide exodus is taking place from, once again, the woman who wants to leave out of a marriage where the man is crazy making, gaslighting, abusive, what have you, to the people who are riding here, there, and everywhere, trying to get to a land that they consider is like the promised land that Moses and his people were headed to. You see, we already here. We're already getting some benefits, right? We're already doing all these cool things. And there's some people that's looking at us and saying, that's heaven on earth. That's that promised land. That's where the milk and honey is. This is what God is doing for us. He is moving us up out of our impoverished land. He's moving us up out of just the hard work that we do, but we never see any benefit. All we're doing is feeding Pharaoh's family. All we're doing is making sure that Pharaoh's family is taken care of, that Pharaoh's ideas are moving forth, that Pharaoh ends up getting everything and then some while we get nothing. You see, there are more and more people that don't want to be under Pharaoh. And as much as some folk that have a history of conquering some people and doing away with some people, God is doing a number or two on them. And that's what they don't like. That's what they didn't want to hear in a message that I simply pulled a line of scripture, talked about what was going on at the time before everything started really gaining momentum with the wall and with Trump and all of that. And they stayed right there in that part of the message and didn't bother to listen to the rest because I'm turned off, because your propaganda got you trained to be turned off so that you don't hear what is happening, so that you don't have empathy, sympathy as to what's happening, so that you can continue to be in your narcissistic type of mentality, just as your leader, just as your people, just as anybody else that you grew up or grew around. And that's not the God that we serve. We don't serve Pharaoh. We don't serve his narcissistic ways, and we don't aid in being his narcissistic supply. This isn't just about what's happening on the home front. This is an international issue. And like I said, God has been doing an Exodus experience right under our noses for quite some time. And it is he who gave me the eyes to see. And it is he who gave me the words to speak. And it is he who has given me all sorts of information to empower. Not make you a slave, not make you stay in your mess, not keep you caught up in what media says. I have a background in journalism and communications, and if I wanted to work for the side of evil and darkness or what have you, it would be very easy. Simply because the training was there way back when. They trained us early on to be the type of individuals that would deliver stories that had a narcissistic ring to them. And we didn't even know it at the time, right? Because if you're not walking with the Lord, you don't know how you're going to be used. Satan, he finds a position for you. He finds a spot. But then when you start going through all the fires with Satan, you realize, wait a minute, it's not worth all this. My soul is far greater than all of this foolishness that man has come up with just to preserve his land, just to preserve his oil, just to preserve his house, just to preserve his legacy. I'm not going to be selling out to some individuals who they don't have my best interest in mind. They have their own. That's what narcissists do. So this Exodus experience, what is happening with the enemies that rise up against those who are called, those who are chosen? Okay? We're not getting into legal and illegal and all that. We're just talking about people. We're just talking about people that don't look like you, do not have the citizenship that you do not have the favor that you do. Very similar to the Israelites who, look, who are you? Why are you coming over here? No, y'all, you all got to go somewhere because you can't stay here. Then they move on to the next land. Wait a minute. What are you doing? Oh, we got to wage war on these people. And then they go over here and there's opposition and there's problems and all that. But before the travel that took place, there was Pharaoh who watched many plagues come upon him as well as those around him. Okay? There are plagues that Pharaoh experiences, whether we know or we don't know. Pharaoh leaders all over this world are experiencing these plagues, if you will, in modern day times. This Bible is not antiquated. I got to say that to someone. This Bible's not antiquated. When you open up your eyes and you look at those media headlines and you do some serious research, you're going to see the hand of God. And many ministers who are caught up in the 501c3 programs and so forth, they got to do what the board tells them to do in terms of speaking certain messages. And this is one message that you're not going to speak to some folk simply because they are sitting on the board like Pharaoh is sitting on his throne. You're going to beat by my drum. Narcissistic mindset, once again, is going to be about what benefits me, is going to talk to those individuals who are the flying monkeys to get them to do his or her bidding. The narcissistic mindset is not about we the people, but it is about I. The narcissistic mindset is about working the people as much as possible, but not paying them what they're worth and giving them very little resources to use, very little tools, the cheap ones, not the expensive ones. Oh, yes, Pharaoh wanted people to make bricks, remember? Without straw. He made it harder for them, not easier. Okay? And why do you think people want to leave leaders that are like this? Because what is the benefit to them? There is no benefit if I'm working harder, but I'm not getting paid more. There is no benefit if, okay, I got a job, but it's not paying the bills. I'm leaving because you're not doing nothing about crime, Pharaoh leader. I'm leaving because, yeah, you may give us meat, but it's not the best portions. You keep those for yourself. You may give us water, but you're not giving us the best water. You're giving us some water that's tainted. And after a while, it's going to cause us to slowly but surely end up becoming very sick and then die. Because remember, Pharaoh, these modern day pharaohs is watching population growth very closely. And they've been doing it for quite some time. And they saw that their favorite people were not growing as rapidly as others. And so what do we do to slow the roll? We create all sorts of opposition, Pharaoh and his flying monkey said. The type of things that are going to look like it's in the best interest of the people, but it really isn't. We're going to come up with things like, oh, our land and our resources are running out, right? It's like the little kid that says, oh, no, I don't want you to take this. Because then if I give this to you, then I'm not going to have anything for myself. And they come up with all these excuses because they don't want to give. God says, this is my land. This is my world. I know I know population growth better than anybody knows population growth because I'm the one who puts the seeds in men and women. I create birth. And man says, but God, you need my help in this because, we're the people who do this for you and we're the people and, weren't we favorites? And really, you wouldn't be bothered with those people over there now, would you? Those people are meek. Those people are humble. Those people are folks who have worked in conditions that you would never work in. Those people have talent that you don't even know about because you're too busy oppressing them. And so because of your evil ways, because of your propaganda, because of your psychological manipulation on the masses to try to make these people an enemy when you know they're not, you used them, didn't you, for your businesses? You used them for all sorts of things. And some people are still doing it illegally. And so because of that, my favor is going to come upon the least of these, at least in your eyes. And that's why people started clicking off. Oh, you got to that part, Nicholl, and I was good with you until. Look, the messages are bigger than just about your mommy and your daddy and your sister and brother. There are messages that got meanings in them, meanings that I didn't even know God was throwing into the message at the time because the Holy Spirit's moving and I'm just a mere vessel. And that some people caught hold of those messages and said, wait a minute, this isn't just about my family. This is an international issue that's unfolding. Is it really an issue? It's not an issue for the people who are being let go. It's not an issue for Moses, who is the leader of those people who are moving them, whether in your face, behind your back, underground, above ground. There are some people that are acting like abolitionists. They're saying one thing in front of everybody's faces, and then they're doing something quite different. So going back to Pharaoh. So Pharaoh is experiencing, I don't know why that's hard for me to say at times, but he is going through his share of plagues. The plagues come in the form of relatives dying at the hands of illness, in addition to at the hands of other folk. Okay? So you got folks that are dying in people's arms. But then you also got folks who are being murdered. Okay? Pharaoh doesn't want to listen to the one true God. There are those bothersome illnesses that show up. There are those strange insects and weird visions and nightmares and not getting good rest. There are those plagues that come upon not just him, but anybody that's affiliated with him. Anybody that so much speaks his name in a positive light, wants to act like a public relations ambassador. There is negativity that comes upon these individuals. There is the weather issues that show up. The weatherman or weatherwoman said it was going to be a beautiful day, and then suddenly there's rain, there's storms, there's floods. His family, her family are going through so much because Pharaoh doesn't want to let the people go. Pharaoh wants to keep harping on what it is that God is doing and putting his spin on it, because there are those around him that say this, do this. The wealth that he acquires is ate up by locust people, if you will. Just when he gets some money, it's eaten away. Just when he establishes yet another asset, something terrible happens or something slows progress. Technology doesn't act right. Dark days are more than happy days. And the things that don't fall on Pharaoh fall on the children and the children's children. Things that slow his population growth, her population growth. Am I getting through to some of you all? You see, because I can't get through to the one who doesn't want to believe in God, doesn't want to believe that God isn't just dealing with things on this level, this personal level, but he's dealing with things nationally, internationally. Okay, stay with me. In Exodus, time and time again, the plagues showed up. The plague of boils, the plague of hail, the plague of locusts. Exodus 8 through chapter 8 through 11. The worst of them all was the plague on the firstborn. Now the Lord has said to Moses, I will bring one more plague on Pharaoh and on Egypt. After that, he will let you go from here. And when he does, he will drive you out completely. Tell the people that men and women alike are to ask their neighbors for articles of silver and gold. The Lord made the Egyptians favorably disposed toward the people, and Moses himself was highly regarded in Egypt by Pharaoh's officials and by the people. Okay? This isn't just anybody or any group that God is raising up. These are people that are highly regarded, respected among their brethren in communities, cities, boroughs, villages, any type of dwelling that the pharaohs of this world want to target. And when the targeting takes place, that is also when the plagues increase. That is when the sicknesses show up and show out. That is when population growth for certain ethnicities ends up slowing down, while the very ones that they are attacking, that population growth continues to increase. It may not be as fast, but it still increases. It doesn't go extinct. Let me say that again. It doesn't go extinct. You see, there is this cycle that we all end up in when we decide that we want to fight up against the one true God. It's a cycle where you once had the favor, but now you don't. You once was in light, but now you're in darkness. You once had power or was empowered, but now you're not, because you decided that you wanted to play the game of life by your own set of rules. And then for some people who have a very large platform, they try to get other people on board with the demonic oppression, with the demonic witchcraft, with the demonic sorcery, right? With all sorts of things that totally go against the one true God who created us. So this mass exodus takes place. Plagues have already taken place with some individuals. Others, it's just getting started. I know they didn't want to hear that. And I'm telling you, I'm talking to two groups of people. I'm talking to the people who are on that level where it's just in the family, where there are people that want to exit the family. Low contact, no contact, exit plan, domestic violence, emotional abuse, all of that. But then there's another group of people on an international level where the exodus is taking place and Pharaoh's scratching his head and his flying monkeys are like, what? I don't have any word for you. I can't explain it. And the people are steadily leaving. And Pharaoh is saying, oh no, but I want them back. But all these issues keep arising, and it seems like they're gaining momentum, and it seems like they're growing in numbers, and I don't get it. I mean, this wasn't how it was supposed to take place. And Pharaoh's like, you better do something or I'm going to take you out. You see? So now these flying monkeys, they're trying to look out for their families because they don't want to be destroyed by Pharaoh. But sooner or later, Pharaoh destroys them because, look, you cannot fight up against the one true God. Your hands are too short to fight up against the one true God. I'm telling you, this word is for modern day times. We're just taking an old message and we are showing you how God is still very much working in these modern day times with this worldwide exodus. So the worldwide exodus shows up and people are ready to leave. They are getting the favor. They're seeing the breakthrough. The captives are being released. They're being set free. But then the captives start their murmuring and complaining. So now the fight is no longer with Pharaoh. Pharaoh is going to die. Pharaoh always dies in the end, especially when you have done so much dirt over your years. It is not a peaceful death, if you will. So these people who are on this exodus are having issue with the one true God, murmuring, complaining, worried that, oh no, Pharaoh's men or women are coming after us. Okay. And then finally, when something happens to slow all of the fighting going on, disobedience, cursing, what have you, there is this peace that surpasses all understanding. And God is giving instruction to leaders that are responsible for these exoduses. But as we very well know, human frailty, people get frustrated. People get upset. People are talking about, Lord, this is too much. I don't even know how I even got involved with all of this. These people, they get on my nerves, right? But God, he gives men and women the strength to keep going. So one thing Pharaoh leaders don't like is not to win. They don't like when their agendas are attacked. They don't like when their labor is leaving. Whatever their labor does for them, it of course may have a dollar figure to it. And so now the Lord, your God, is affecting monies. Okay. So there is those individuals that they get so sick and tired of the plagues, they get tired of seeing that their workers are being pushed away or pulled away or running away. They're willing to work out a deal. Okay, you know what? Talk to your God for me. What do you mean? I mean for you to talk to your God and tell him that I am willing to do A, B, and C if you would just bring these people back to me, or make these people do what's right. Okay. Or make these people obey the law. Okay. But does Pharaoh show honesty? Does Pharaoh do the right thing? Oftentimes he doesn't. He wants everybody else to do what's right. You see. And so he basically becomes nothing more than a traitor. He turns his back on the Lord. He tries to win the people over by saying, yeah, I do believe in the Lord just like you do. And I'm praying just like you do. And then he's back to his old ways again. Okay. With every exodus, once again, there is a leader. There is someone who's anointed and appointed, or leaders. The Bible shows Moses to be one who is educated. And interesting, Moses was desert trained. Okay. Interesting. He was a great Jewish leader. He set the Exodus in motion, a prophet and lawgiver, a recorder of the Ten Commandments, an author of the Pentateuch. Okay. His weaknesses and mistakes was that he failed to enter the promised land because of disobedience to God. So some people, the reason why they're held up, the reason why they're not making it to this place called America, this place that's the promised land in their eyes, is because they've been disobedient to God. Forget the laws. They've been disobedient to God. And so we can't have pity on everyone. We can't say that everybody is being mistreated and disrespected and used and abused and whatever else, because we know that if they are going through it, God's allowing it. You see what I mean? He's allowing it. And so all we can do is just lift up our brothers and sisters in prayer and pray that they'll turn around and do what's right, that they will be obedient to the one true God. Okay. This Exodus is not about men and women so much as it's a spiritual Exodus, and it's about the one true God. I'm leaving the darkness and going into the light. I'm saying goodbye to what has enslaved me mentally, physically, spiritually, and sexually, and saying hello to what is freeing me mentally, physically, spiritually, and sexually. You see, I am no longer caught up in a social system of injustice, but I am moving toward a social system of justice. Okay? But God gives specific instruction along the way. And when we disobey, there is no freedom. Okay. There's just more of the same. There's just more of the same. And some people, unfortunately, end up in their graves too. The other weakness of this leader, Moses, is that he did not always recognize and use the talents of others. So I'm going to handle this. I'm going to do this. Don't you worry about it. God appointed me and all of that. But wait a minute. There's some people among you, Moses. There's some people among you that's talented. Stop being the funny acting one that doesn't want the women doing anything, and that's whatever you assign them. Stop being that one that says that, oh no, the young people, no, they don't know this and they don't know that. Stop being that one that says that, oh no, everybody come to me. I don't need any assistance. Stop being that one. When God has an exodus and you are the leader, you are not supposed to be that one that takes everything under your belt. You are not to be the one that puts such strict criteria on people to the point where nobody can ever meet the criteria. Okay? You got some people who got their personal prejudices and assume that because somebody is a certain ethnicity, talks a certain way, is a particular gender, sexuality, we can't use them. They can't be a good leader. Always putting folks in some type of assistant role that's way in the back somewhere where somebody's shucking corn. Somebody's picking peaches. Somebody's over here washing something or cleaning something because, well, my mommy and my grandmother and my, great granddad, they told me about those people. You got to be kidding me. But we still got these people with this mentality to this day. I've had to talk to people like this because they saw me a certain way. Oh, no, you can't help. No, you can't help here. Well, what can I do? You can go over there in that kitchen. What? And stay in that kitchen. Yes, even now. But some of you all, you can't wrap your head around it, see, because it hasn't happened to you. It hasn't happened. And if you're in your box, it'll never happen to you because I'm around my kind. And this is where I belong. And I ain't going nowhere else. So it is what it is. So this Exodus is real. It is not made up. It is happening right under our noses. Been happening, I should say. There's been the backbiting, the gossips, the folks that are being free right in the group. Talking, saying their little statements. Sort of like Miriam running her mouth about Moses. And negative things happen to those people. And those are the folks that they can stay right where they are. You don't need to bring them along since they think they know so much. When God gives you commandments, and he still does give commandments, be prepared, be ready. Do what God tells you to do. You will have those that will say, God didn't tell you that. God didn't do this and that. Leave those people behind. No sense in arguing with them. No sense in trying to convince them. Debate with them. You got too much work to do, leader. The Exodus is an Exodus where God has his favor upon men and women. It is something that, yes, it looks like you're losing at times, but you're really winning. It looks like God is so far away, but he is still very much near. It is the type of Exodus where you are to make sure that you are not like Pharaoh. You are not to mistreat. And yes, I'm going there again. In Exodus 22:21, you are not to mistreat an alien or oppress him, for you were aliens in Egypt. And some of you all, you remember the times where you were aliens in your own household. And we're not going to put adjectives on this. We're not going to say illegal, legal. It doesn't matter. You don't mistreat people. You know that there are those that will be punished accordingly. You know that there are those that have been disobedient to the one true God. You keep your personal opinion out of that butt whooping that somebody's getting when you know that it's rightfully deserved. And do you really know that though? Because that's another ball game right there, where sometimes, do we really know if that person was in the wrong, or are they just being mistreated because of their skin tone, or because they talk a certain way, or because somebody had a bad run-in with that type of ethnicity? So these things can get very tricky quickly. And then we have other things in the Bible that I'm going to draw your attention to. Going back to Exodus 22, we've got social responsibility that's taking place. If a man seduces a virgin who is not pledged to be married and sleeps with her, he must pay the bride price and she shall be his wife. Now, this is Old Testament type of business. But isn't it interesting that a lot of folks that are coming out of a storm and trying to head to the promised land, how they're being taken advantage of sexually? Notice that? And then we've got serious, I mean, the type of things that back in the day, and God still is the same, do not allow a sorceress to live. And you know what happened back in those days was that men and women who were in leadership roles, they called others to take folks out. Okay? Wait a minute, we all headed to the same place. Wait a minute, but you're guilty. You're guilty of doing certain things. And those who by law have to defend themselves, those who by law have to keep order, those who by law have to have a just lifestyle and make just decisions, God will give them the green light to deal with people in such a way that we are like, what? God did that? God allowed that? God allows a whole lot of things to happen. That's the part that people don't like to think too deeply about. God curses. God gives people the green light to kill people, to go to war, to do this and do that. But yet he tells us not to. That's because he knows how we are in our mind. Please. We're not God. So we can't even put ourselves nowhere on that level with God. If God wants to take some people out of here, he created them. You see, I'm not going to argue about things dealing with the one true God. But when there's an exodus taking place and we got some misbehaving people, some bad things tend to happen. And those people on the outside looking in are saying, but aren't they Christian? Aren't they trusting in the Lord? Why would Christians end up, taking Christians out? Or why would certain things happen? God shouldn't have allowed that. Once again, we're not in that position to be talking about what God shouldn't have. Stuff like that, I keep my mouth shut on. I don't want to talk about it. It's too deep. It's too complicated. I'm not trying to ease anybody's nerves. If you was acting up and you on the way to, and God gave you specific instruction, and then suddenly you fall and you're gone. I mean, we give you a proper burial, but we got to keep it moving. You see, this is the God we serve. It's scary when you think about it. But it's real. It's truthful. He doesn't want folks corrupting others on this journey toward freedom. If I start preaching a message about enslaving people, I'm out. I'm done. You might as well say, up. Bye, Nicholl. We on an exodus. And we got to make sure that we keep our heads. We can't be arguing with each other over little things. We can't be misconstruing what people are saying because you're on that propaganda trip, because you've been listening to negativity for so long that you don't even know when God is moving. I can't be arguing with people like that. Look, are we going to the promised land or not? Yes. Okay. So stop the backbiting. Stop talking about, oh, let me tell you about so-and-so. And yeah, I found this, that, and the other. We are headed toward an exodus. Some of you all prayed. You wanted to be free out of connections, relationships, partnerships. Some of you others looked at things from an international perspective and did not want to support certain causes, did not want to be a part of certain agendas, policies, procedures. Some of you others in the entertainment industry didn't want to be buffoons, didn't want to be caught up in all sorts of projects that are ungodly and unrighteous. If you are on the exodus toward change, toward peace, toward whatever it is that you pray to the Lord about, then don't shoot the messengers and don't sit up there and defend people that were once a part of the group, but now are no more because of their disobedience. Do you want the curse that's on them to fall on you? We got to say bye to some folks. It was nice walking with you up to a certain point, but then you started deviating over here and doing things you didn't have no business doing, like mistreating people, taking advantage of a widow or an orphan. If you do and they cry out to me, I will certainly hear their cry. My anger will be aroused. This is Bible now, God speaking. My anger will be aroused and I will kill you with the sword. Your wives will become widows and your children fatherless. Don't we see that around the world? But they were so good and God was, but oh no. If you lend money to one of my people among you who is needy, do not be like a money lender. Charge him no interest. Some people need money along the way, right? I need money to get out of this crazy relationship, or I need money to help my children, or I need money. And so if you're going to be that one that has the money and can help some people, why are you charging interest? Brother, sister in Christ. If you take your neighbor's cloak as a pledge, return it to him by sunset, because his cloak is the only covering he has for his body. Some people, that's the only thing that she has that she really likes, that is something that is helpful to her. And you want that too. We all on a journey together. Why are you acting like this? You see. And this is why this arguing sometimes takes place with family members and friends, because there's people that's after things that they shouldn't be after. Keep your mouth shut. You just might get something better. Don't be trying to manipulate somebody into giving you something, because God got a blessing right around the corner. We're being freed up out of a situation. Why you want to go back? Quit talking about back in the day. Quit talking about your ex and all of what he did for you. And if I knew it was going to be like this, I would have stayed with him. What? Get off the bus. What? You out. Go ahead on. Go ahead on. But we got some folks that's like that. Do not blaspheme God or curse the ruler of your people. But some people, what do? They'll support a ruler who is divisive, a ruler who's wicked, but then curse the ruler that God has appointed to free them out of their situation. What sense does that make? Do not hold back offerings from your granaries or your vats. God moves on people to give along the way. It's not always about money. It's some other things too. And they'll be like, is this all you have? Yes, it is. And some people dying, literally dying for telling lies. This isn't all you have. You could have helped us. You could have sowed some seed. You could have done a whole lot of things. But you made up excuses. Off the bus. I mean, that's the way it is right now. Okay? Right now, for so many people who are on their way out. Or they are already out, but they're arguing and fussing and fighting with people who's supposed to be brothers and sisters in Christ. So this is an exciting journey. Keep your head up. Pay close attention to what God is doing in your life. I'm telling you, he is working a miracle for some people. People who we thought was not going to be free. People who we thought folks would never reconnect with their families. People who we thought would not get certain favor. People who we thought would continue to be oppressed or used or abused. God is raising them up in great and mighty ways. And we don't need to be caught up in other people's agenda, other people's brainwashing, other people's scripts, the words that they use to try to trigger people to think a certain way. No, we don't need groupthink right through here. What we need are people that are listening to the one true God, not weak men, not weak women, and not people who are walking dead right now, because there's, once again, a lot of narcissistic type of individuals who are walking dead. They are so far away from the Lord. They have reprobate minds. There is no getting through to them. And so, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Thank you, as always, for taking time out of your busy schedule to listen. You've been listening to YouTube, Enterprise 7. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment. Blessings to you.